Welcome back, my butterfly kaleidoscope to One Hook, Two Hands. This is Sarah, the creator behind One Hook, Two Hands. Guys, it has been a wild ride, but this is the Sunday after my first of the two fairs, and I am taking a crochet for me kind of break for a little bit. And one of the things I'm doing is I finally found the crochet kits at Dollar Tree, so we are going to do a review of them. Now most times for my reviews I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1, I'm going to do the kit as the person, as with their yarn, their supplies, all of that stuff. The second, I'm going to do a pattern review with my own yarn so that we can evaluate how well that they work. And we're gonna start off with these three. So I've already oh, I forgot something, guys, so bear with me. If you are new here, I like to call my followers butterflies, because butterflies are the symbols of hope and joy for me, and each subscriber does that, so I'm very, very grateful. If you want to join our kaleidoscope, which is the name for when butterflies do this whirly thing when they land or when they take off, if you want to land with us, we would love for you to hit that like or subscribe button. And I hope that you enjoy this video. If you do, please like. And if you do join, I am trying to get to 500 subscribers so that we can do our 500 giveaway. I have 2 really big prizes I've already got for that, and I am excited as things progress as to what I'll get, but I'm going to be showing that here in a video in a couple days, the second prize, so look out for that. And let's get into today's. So like I said, I only found the Dollar Tree's craft kit, crochet kits, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna buy all 3 and let's see how they do. But when I do a review of a kit, what I do is part 1, I do the actual kit. I do use all of their supplies, use, you know, like this one, it has the yarn, the plastic needle, the stuffing, the crochet hook, the plastic beads is what they say, but it's the eyes, and we make and then their pattern. So I've got the bee, as you just saw. This one just calls it, they don't really have names for like what the thing is. To me, that looks like a whale. It could be just a fish, but it looks like a whale, so we're gonna call that the whale. And then they had the donut, and I have already started to do that one. So in each kit, like I said, comes the yarn. So comes the yarn, and where's the little pink piece? Okay, did I take the little pink yarn? I did. Hold please. And the little pink yarn, it came with this, which is the crochet needle, the yarn, and the eyes, and this plastic crochet hook. So that was what was in there. First off, about just what was in the kit. So it comes with a pattern, and we'll get to the pattern in a minute. But I'm glad my tension was right, because this is literally all the yarn that was in there for the brown. So I'm glad my tension was just right, that I had what I needed to finish that. Then, like I said, we've got pink yarn for decorating the top through sewing here in a minute. We have this pink yarn, and I will say with with the brown yarn, it didn't split on me, so I did enjoy that. Like, the yarn didn't split, didn't have a lot of issues in terms of actually using the yarn. So I don't know where the yarn came from, but I do know that, like, it didn't split, it didn't cause any problems in that direction. So, and neither is the pink so far. Now, I will say this light pink has this really weird kind of like fuzz thing on it, if you can see. And that sometimes like causes it to slip off your hook. So there is that. Yes, I'm using their hook. One of the, I would put in the negative column, is that there is no gauge on it, and it doesn't say a gauge in the pattern instructions. So, but by comparison, I figured out it's the 3.5. So on the next version of this, I'm going to use this 3.5 hook. Okay? And we're going to see how it turns out. So, first things first, I have already done the like I said, the donut part of the ring. Now, I will say, and basically you make this pattern, this exact same thing twice. So, according to this pattern, it is, which I will say does give you some pretty good pictures of it, and does give you a pretty good description of the basic crochet stitches and how to do it. My issue becomes where, with the instructions. As somebody who's done crochet and has read patterns for a long time, I can understand these instructions. But if you were truly a beginner, which these are marketed for, they're a little too simplified, and the terms that they're using, but not in the way that crocheters use them. So it doesn't work out just right. So I know what they're meaning, and I'm doing that, and the pictures help me to double check myself, but yeah. So 2, 4, 3, 4. So I'm on the last row here on the pink, and one of the things is counting is a little different. So on round 1, it's counting round 1 is the chain. So we're technically on row 7. For a crocheter, we're on row 6. But I am interested to see how this works. And like I said, you know, I hadn't split it right until the second I got on here to do this. That is lovely. Now, like I said, I'm using all of their supplies to do the first one, and then I will do it with yarn that I have and prefer to see how well does this actually work, right? And I am of the opinion that, so like I said, the negatives so far, poor actual instructions, no marking on the hook or telling us what comes in the kit to make sure that we have everything, where it says the gauge of the crochet hook. I really wish it would say the gauge of the crochet hook, because then you can't really use the pattern again in theory without using their crochet hook. So there is a there is that. So going on around, and at first I was concerned because it does tell you to use the pink to sew up your donut here in a minute, and I wasn't sure, given how close I got with the brown, if there would be that close to the pink. However, I think we're going to be okay because we've only got this much left. So I wanted to bring you on as I did this, and now I will say, as far as a crochet project, this is really simple and really easy. And if you have been reading patterns for a while, I think you would understand what they're meaning versus what they're actually saying. On this pattern. So we've completed row 7. So what does it say? 2. Stitch. So now it's all sewing. You put the eyes, so hear me, this is going to be the side that we're going to use for the outside. Same thing over here on this. This is going to be the outside of the donut. So you flip it in to do the other side, and I am going to try and open this little baggie. There. There's no reason to open it before we needed the eyes, because you guys know these eyes like to disappear on people. If you have made amigurumi before, you know that these like to disappear. So, including the backs. Now, because the one thing I am going to do different in this little piece is what I do different with every amigurumi, and that is I like to put some backing behind the eyes because I don't want it to pop off and like, where's that set of scissors? It was just here. Oh, there's the stuffing. Maybe it fell in the Alright, y'all, where did these scissors were over here. Where I was working on a different project earlier. Like, okay, there's the cap, so that those scissors got to be here somewhere. Well, I will just go ahead and use these scissors, even though I don't like doing that. Unless I put them in here. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Right? So, this is our outside. So right over here. It doesn't tell you exactly where to put the eyes. Where's that little picture? Yeah, I'm gonna put it down 2 rows from the top. Make that a 3rd because it's gonna curl in. This does, so I don't want it to be too far. And it doesn't tell you even, okay. So you place the eyes. Again, like I said, this is the one I'm going to do this part my way because I don't want these eyes coming out. And I never want my eyes to have an issue, especially with, because these will go in the sale category for me. So, or maybe they go in a giveaway, I don't know. But now we've got the eyes in. So, it's not telling you how much you need for this, like, to fasten off or anything, so I'm going to give myself, they say to sew it, so we're going to sew it, but I want to give myself a big swatch of yarn to fasten off with. So we have for sewing because we can double it up, which is what I like to do. Like, there's a few little things that I'm still gonna make a product of quality, even if I am following their instructions. So, got that. Now we are gonna put the outsides, the good side, quote unquote, together. We are gonna sew the outsides together, and I'm just going to do a little trick. When you have something, and if you're wanting to kind of match it up, one of the ways you can do that is if you have two tails, is to do this. It just helps you have, kind of keep it in place if you're struggling with that, and you can work around it. So yes, I am going to use their little needle if I can find there. Now I will say this about their needle is it's pretty sharp. You could almost use this as a tapestry needle, and use it to do things like the Russian join. I'd like to see how this one works with the Russian join actually, because it's pretty sharp, sharper than most of the plastic ones I've seen. So now we're going to sew up the edges, and I'm going to go, and like I said, normally not what I would use, but I'm, for the sake of this testing this pattern, I'm doing it. So I am on this first one, I go back through it because I want to make sure we are secure. And then you just, so I went through that one twice, and now we're gonna just slip stitch sew all the way around. And I kind of follow the way that the stitches go. If they want to be sewn together in the same one, I kind of follow that. You know, you just kind of let the yarn dictate it a little bit. Sorry in case you saw me do that on that last one, but we're gonna sew this around. I think I'm actually sewing the wrong side first, but I think they wanted to sew the insides together first, so I'm actually going to take another piece of yarn. We're going to do this. Again, this is one of those things because the instructions are not abundantly clear about what to sew first unless you look at the picture. Comes a little bit of a problem. Okay, so that needs to go in here. Oh gosh. Okay, we're just gonna, you know what? Through here and get started. I think that roughly correct. And at this point, I don't think undoing the outside edge that I've already done is going to help or hurt this. We shall see. I may have to undo it, and we'll see. So you know, you can pin it together if you need to. having this look at because so we are getting there. Probably gonna have to undo that one. That's what I was afraid of. I don't know how. Yeah. Do one more with this one. That's what I was afraid of from the beginning, but see what we can do with it. Might have done what I needed it to do. Let's see here. I'm not exactly sure how the exact same count got that far off, but we'll see about this. So we kind of got our donut-o here. And now I personally am going back and sewing it a second time because I do not trust it, Sam. I am. Okay, what? Okay, no, that's all the way through. But I like to make sure things are well and truly sewn, and sometimes that just doesn't happen if you don't give it some reinforcement. So I like to reinforce. So yeah, this is so we are getting there. So, literally so. We're getting there. Back to the beginning. And we'll tie this off. And because it's inside of the amigurumi, we do not have to weave in ends in this part, which, you know, that makes me very happy. I like that about when we do amigurumi stuff. Here we are. And because this is the last stitch, or sewing stitch, I'm going to come through here and pull it this way. We're going to snip it. Again, we have the benefit of this all being inside of the toy, so I'm going to do this. Now, I don't know, will this one let me flip it this way? Because if it will, I'm not going to undo what I've already sewed up on the outside. Doesn't really look like it's going to want to let me, but please. I have to undo that. Okay, I am. I'm going to have to undo this, what I've already sewn on the outside, to flip it. So, guys. Okay, where did that needle just go? It's in my hand, and then it wasn't. I have to open one of the other ones just to have the needle back. Because I didn't hear it drop anywhere. You know what? Let's just use one of mine for now, because I don't know where that pink needle flipped over to. If it went somewhere. Okay, so now I have to undo this. So if you ever have to undo sewing, you come under, take your needle, go under the stitch, pull. See, in something a little bigger, you should be able to flip it, but it's really tight because it is a smaller thing. So I literally did the exact same number of stitches and somehow ended up, it seems like, with more on the brown than I did on the pink. And in terms of trying to put this thing together. So when I've been trying to, like I said, put it together, apparently when I did that part, okay. It the yarn is sticking to each other, not good. Okay. I mean, I want it on the other side, but that's sticking together that way right now is not a good thing. Okay, so now I guess I am gonna have to untie this to make it work. Oh, please. So this yarn is sticking to each other in ways it should not be sticking to each other, but it's all right because we now here we go. Now then, we're going to sew what I had started to sew back together, and it does say to stuff as you go. I do not like the way this yarn is reacting to each other when they get sewn together, but okay. So you're going to come up here, match up your stitches over and under. So and you're kind of going through the top of the stitch, the two V's, to sew them together. I know I'm not doing any time lapses on this, but I just kind of want to show you what it's actually like. So now, we've gotten a little bit far enough that I need to start stuffing, I believe. Because you don't, in order to fill something like this, you want to make sure you've got it where you need to, where you can still kind of reach and make sure you're filling it up all the way. So let's open our little package of stuffings. As you can see, like with most stuffing, it immediately fluffs out. But remember, when it comes to stuffing, always stretch it before you put it in your project. Fluff, fluffs the stuffing. Now it says stuff when you get close to filling the outer edge, but I have enough experience of knowing that's not going to work. Because you won't be able to reach stuff, and there'll be a pocket where there'll be like an air bubble thing, and it just won't go well. So stuff a little bit at a time. Now, I've still got a lot, but at least it gives me something to work with here, okay? And as you can see, I am trying to double up stitches here a little bit, so maybe we're not as bad as we were on the other side. Like I said, I don't know where that little pink needle went, and it's a little bit frustrating at the moment, but I will find it. All right, let's go ahead and stuff more before we get to the eyes. Still see that, like that little air bubble right there. When you're doing a circle, if you don't have the space to get in there, you have a problem. Why you keep seeing me play with it is that right there. There's a lump on the donut hole, and I'm trying to undo the lump. All right, let's try and do a little more. It seems little and feels like it should be just fine to stuff pretty easily all the way over. Yeah, experience has taught me it's not that simple. But I want to get around the eyes here. And then we'll stuff again. And I'd really like to do it around one eye and then the other, but I don't think that's gonna, the yarn's gonna really allow for that. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to break this review up into two parts. Well, what I mean by that is I'm going to do each of the Dollar Tree patterns initially by themselves, and then I'll come back and I will do using my materials and my needle and everything the same pattern in theory with a few corrections for me. Because the ones around the eyes are always tricky. See, and this is what I'm trying to prevent, those little back bumps, because there's no stuffing there. And if you're not stuffing as you go, that gets really hard. I don't want it on the top and I don't want it on the bottom. So I'm trying to make sure I get my yarn in there. There we go. It's starting to look like a donut, y'all, don't you think? So I may have to add a little bit more stuffing. than what they gave me. And what I will do in my second two-parter of the donut video, where I use my own supplies and finish off my review, is I will give any corrections I feel like need to be made to the pattern, so that way if you were, yep, I'm gonna need more stuffing, way more stuffing. Good thing a don't leave home without it kind of girl. So I could get, it's getting there. Like I said, there's just this, maybe if I push from this direction, I can get that. It's a little bit better. Yeah. So I'm going to give you how I feel about this pattern, the kit itself, and then I'm going to do the remake of the pattern when I use my own supplies here in just, and I'll give that to you. Any corrections I feel like need to be made if you have this pattern, you got frustrated, that sort of thing. Okay, now pull. I feel like you need a second one in that same thing though. Alright, I'm going to put just a tad more. Wait a minute, that might have done what I needed it to do. Yeah, that kind of filled the hole when I squished it. So and now I'm just going to simply do a second round around, because I don't play with seams. Because I feel always like if a dog or a child gets a hold of it, I want the seams to be secured on anything. So we are going on around and doing the second seam of the donut because, again, I don't trust seams. I try to make sure that they're extra secure. I don't want anything coming apart or, you know, unless it's torn or whatever. Because then you have no control over that. This I have control over, and I always like to make sure we are doubly taken care of. That way we are And guys, don't forget to shape your amigurumi after, like, whether that's you just physically manipulate the stuffing and stuff, or you actually do some techniques to shape it, but like using thread to, or crochet, or using yarn to go back through and like pull certain aspects so it'll give you a look. Okay, I think I got my eyes a little too far on top over here, so that's on me. Next time I'm putting it in the second down one more, just so that we are, and feels like it hits more like where it should. And then I always like to yarn under for a ways, pull through, and then pull real tight, snip it so it goes back into the project. So there's our donut ring. And next the instructions say use the black thread. Here's our black thread to sew on the mouth. I'm not sure how they would do it, but I'm going to do it how I would do it. So through, it's a little bigger than probably they would, but, and then I come back under. Same threads, stitches, then I will push this through here as well. And then we tie it off. Real tight so it kind of hides underneath. And then we pull, snip real close to that knot. And then kind of push that up under. So there's my mouth on it. Not the best mouth I've done, but eh. And then, let's see. And then you take this and you just pull it through all over for a different sprinkle pattern. And from what I can tell, you basically do like, I'm gonna start over here towards this side and work my way around. And basically what you're gonna do is do a stitch like this to get your sprinkle. Then you're gonna go under, over here, to pull back through over here. And guys, just play around with what you like and where you want it placed, or figure out where you want it placed before you start doing this. Then I'm gonna come under. This is a little difficult because of where the plastic pieces I put in are, but I'm actually gonna go right here because I want to put a sprinkle there too. And now I'm just gonna start going where I want to put the next sprinkle. That's where I'm headed with my needle when I come through. That one I pulled a little too tight so you can't really see it, so go like over here. And I'm just trying to place these randomly. I don't think it's really that random, but you know. And try to leave it a little loose because that's what will continue to give the illusion of the sprinkle. If you go too tight, it's not going to show. My friend Andy at the Crafty Witch likes to say, "Oh, Cheez-Its." I think I may start saying, "Oh, donuts," when things don't quite work the way they're supposed to. So And we're almost done. And so once we get these sprinkles on, we are considered done. And I know I could have done fewer sprinkles and made it quick, but come on guys. It's gotta look like, let's be honest, my niece is probably gonna play with this at some point. Aunt Sarah can't do subpar work. Especially when it comes to the pink. But let's see here. I will say, that I'm going to cut this one a little bit longer just to give us enough room to do the pull real tight here and have a little bit more strength on that, so that when I do the knot, I can then, where's their hook? When you get that knot, you can kind of push it into the stuffing and hide it away. So